All right, everyone, this is Marco Palmero, founder of Ulysses in Dubai. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a very uncomfortable topic about acquisitions, of course, and some of the unspoken topics that surround the business environment in UAE and Middle East. And I'm going to give you some real life examples of the situations we have seen when looking at opportunities to buy, so that I can back these statements with, real life examples. And the entire conversation is going to be around how many targets, how many opportunities can you find that are actually worth something, that can actually be bought if you are a buyer, an investor, an acquisition company, you name it. The short answer to this question is not many, but let me dive a little bit deeper into this and explain why that is the case. Now, as I mentioned in many other videos, a lot of transactions that go up for sale don't close. Around 90-95% of deals don't close worldwide. And the reason for that is because the owners are asking for too much money. But this is not what I want to cover in this video. The point I want to cover in this video is why are so many of these opportunities not worth a lot of money, if not even worth anything. And the reason is many times people try to get rid of their business when it's not performing well. And their mindset is, well, as long as a company is performing well, I'm going to keep it because it creates cash flow for myself. The moment it starts struggling, I'm going to give it away so that I can get rid of a problem. It sounds like the perfect and the dream scenario, right? The point is, it is exactly the reverse. And, many people don't understand this, especially small, medium-sized business owners. And that's why they are unable to sell their company at the right time, because they simply get this equation backwards. And they think that, as long as the company is working fine, they will keep it. But when it starts struggling, they will try to, push this problem onto somebody else. And I've seen this many times when looking at opportunities in the Middle East and in the UAE. So many business owners set up their company. They think of themselves as the best company in town. And then all of a sudden they start doing badly and they want to get rid of the business. All of a sudden the dream is over, right? Which is kind of funny because I see the same story repeated time and time again. And sometimes I get bored by it because it is the same thing, really. And what I think is the real problem is that people don't understand fully what the goal of the business is and how they should ramp it up to then sell it at the right time. There are kind of two categories of people from my perspective. The first is the ones that don't really understand that a company must get sold once it is making money, because it's going to be very attractive for investors, very attractive for buyers, and they're going to get a premium for it. And there's also another category of people who also doesn't understand that a company needs to get sold in the first place. So he's not even thinking about selling, but then he wants to sell out of necessity. And so it's basically faced with the situation and he needs to make a decision independently on how the company is performing. And so I'm just trying to clarify this concept so that I can explain what I mean by this a little bit better. There's one category of people who's not really interested in selling the business until they get to a point where they're forced to do that for personal reasons, health issues, and so on and so forth. There's another category of people who knows that a business needs to get sold, but they get the equation backwards. And so they think that they should sell their company once it's struggling, and as long as it keeps performing well, they can keep it and squeeze cash out of it as much as they want. So the two problems with these guys is, in the first case, it's more like a legacy issue. You might not have somebody who wants to take over the business, and so you're forced to sell the company. It might be profitable, it might be not profitable, but you kind of like pushed into that direction Otherwise, you're going to lose everything you've built over time. There's one problem that I've seen many times with these types of people, and that is the fact that they want to get rich of one transaction. Well, instead, wealth is built of a series of transactions. And so they try to squeeze every single dollar out of their business that they built over 30 or 40 years. But it's very rare. It's very hard for them to get that amount of money because in most cases, these companies aren't worth so much. And so in most cases, they don't sell, or in the few cases when they sell, they need to lower their expectations or structure the deal in such a way that it can accommodate longer payment terms so that the buyer can, make up for that kind of premium that he's paying. That is the situation I've seen for small business owners who are forced to sell. Now there is the other case, what I call the delusional guys, who know that the business needs to get sold, but as long as it is performing well, they're going to keep it because, it makes them feel comfortable. It gives them a lot of cash. And in most cases, these guys are going to be the ones who draw down all the cash. They put all their expenses on the company balance sheet. And then all the expenses on the company statements. And then they're going to say, no, my company's making a lot of money. It's just that I'm putting all my personal expenses in there, so they don't really count. And that is one type of guy. Then there's the other one who says, okay, I'm just going to sell it once it's struggling so I can get rid of a problem. And he thinks that, buyers are stupid. And, it sounds kind of far-fetched and something that is out of reality, but I've seen this situation happening so many times. It's like, yeah, my business did well till last year, but now is struggling, so I want to sell it. And I'm like, well, didn't you figure out that maybe you're not going to get the money you want if you're going to get a buyer at all? And every single time I bring that up, I see people freezing, getting nervous and uncomfortable because it seems like you break down an entire belief about their whole business word. And the point is, let's just put it this way. If you really understand that you are building a company to sell it, you should look at it for what it is. And it is an asset that needs to get sold when it is very hot. And so the moment a company is performing well and you get an opportunity to exit it, you should seriously consider it, especially if it is a small business and not a unicorn that you're planning to take public and do some crazy stuff with it. The point is, there are cycles in the business world, in any sector. We focus on healthcare, but in all sectors there are cycles. And the point here is, you might not see the new cycle happening again. And what I mean by that is, let's say that your business is performing very well, and you've seen this trending upward trajectory for 10 years, okay? You think it's gonna last forever, but that's not the case. Let's say the business starts struggling and it struggled for 10 years. If you haven't sold at that point, and let's say you're 75, you're gonna need to wait 10 more years to sell your companies, and you're gonna be 85. And so it's gonna be less likely that you're gonna be able to sell the business in a upcycle. And my point is, if you really understand that you want to sell your business, then once an upcycle happens, get rid of the business. But that's just my personal thought and a feedback that I give in total transparency after I've seen so many small business owners make these two mistakes. The first one, I kind of get it, because these people were not interested in selling the business in the first place. They just were forced to do that out of necessity or personal reasons. That I accept and I respect. The other guys, the second case, are the delusional ones, the ones I get pissed off about, because they completely get the equation wrong. And interestingly enough, they're also the ones that have the least to offer in most cases. So what I've seen is that many times these people who are unreasonable and don't understand that a business that is struggling can be worth much money are also the ones that have crazy expectations about their company. And when you dig deeper into the case, you find out there's some reason behind their line of thinking. Of course, I don't generally spend much time talking to these guys because there's no point in talking to them really. But what I'm seeing as I interact with a lot of these people is that they're delusional, and it's hard to deal with these types of people. And so getting back to my initial point,